Imagine hearing about a life-threatening disease and you want to protect yourself and others from it. Where do you get the information from? How do you know who to trust? A recent breakout of the measles has many people wondering what to do to protect themselves. Many sources are giving their input on how to protect themselves. But which do you follow? People typically follow the news stations that follow their own personal beliefs without even realizing it. I've been conducting research over this topic for a few weeks and have realized many ways a story can be told. Conducting this research has made me become quite familiar with the topic. I will be giving a brief overview on the story, explaining how each story varies, and then comparing them to see which is the most credible. So, a little bit of background information on the story. With an outbreak of the measles in the northwest corner of the United States, Washington has declared a state of emergency. There have been 36 cases of measles that have been contracted, and most of them for children under the age of 10. It is believed that this has been caused from the anti-vaccine movement. With that being said, most of them have not been vaccinated. The anti-vaccine movement is spreading across the U.S. all because one doctor, whose research has been disproved numerous times, stated that a vaccine can cause autism. Officials are stressing the need to vaccinate in order to help control this outbreak. According to MSN News, it has been determined that a rate of 90 to 95% of the community must be vaccinated in order to ensure safety of others, especially those children who cannot receive vaccinations because of their age. Now it is thought that it will take somewhere between weeks to months to get this outbreak back under control. This news story has reached across the entire U.S. with many differing opinions on the matter. 4 articles by The Washington Post, CBS, MSN, and USA Today all took a different approach on what seemed to be a little biased. In the USA Today article, it was very straight to the point. They stated what exactly was happening and answered all the common questions people had. On the other side, CBS, MSN, and Washington Post were all urging the need to vaccinate kids. Vaccinations are the key point to these articles, where USA Today stated the research behind why a vaccine is effective. USA Today was very, here are the facts, while CBS, MSN, and Washington Post all tried to make a story out of their article, trying to instill fear through quotes and facts. CBS and MSN were full of references and quotes from credible people to make their article more appealing to the reader to believe. There were a few discrepancies in the data that was shared when it came to patients' ages, amount that they were vaccinated, and how many cases there had been. With all these varying stories, how do we know who is the most credible? Being a reader of these articles, you really must decide what you want to know. If you want to know about the measles outbreak, USA Today is your best article to go. If you want to know about the anti-vaccine movement and how this is just another case of it affecting the United States, CBS, MSN, and Washington Post are the way to go. When reading through the articles, it seemed that the main point for CBS and MSN and the Washington Post was just to get everyone vaccinated, while USA Today was the only article trying to give you facts and educate the reader on the measles. CBS, MSN, and Washington Post only briefly mentioned the breakout of measles, and then the anti-vaccination movement took over the article. This shows a little bit of bias of these articles because they barely educate the reader on what's happening, but then want to tell them to go get vaccines. In the article written in 2019 by CBS, an example only talks about an outbreak and what is happening in Washington for the first paragraph. The other 17 paragraphs are all about how the anti-vaccine movement is causing issues. In the CBS News article, New York is stated to be low on vaccinations because of the huge outbreak of 200 measles cases they had. However, according to the New York Health Department, in 2017 they were well within the herd immunity immunizations, with 91% of people being immunized. So this should not have been the issue, and the anti-vaccination should have nothing to do with it. Due to the anti-vaccine movement being extremely controversial, the main cause of bias in these articles, for example, Ashley May from USA Today, only mentions vaccines once as a preventative medicine for measles, stating that the measles 2-dose vaccine is 97% effective against the virus. According to the CDC, after reading through all 4 articles, USA Today did the most efficient job when it comes to explaining what happens in the measles outbreak and covering the information needed to educate a concerned reader. To summarize what we've gone over so far, after stating a brief summary of the measles outbreak in Washington, I was able to use different sources to fact check and find out what was true and what wasn't, and which source was the most reliable to follow. We've now seen that every story has multiple viewpoints. It is our job to determine which is the most credible to follow. Hopefully, after this presentation, you'll be able to fact check your own news stories and be able to form opinions about what is currently going on in the world while being properly educated on the subject.